Welcome back to another Clash Mini video, everyone, and today we are doing my first ever Clash Mini tier list on this channel. Now, my tier list might look a lot different from some other YouTubers' tier list because I am purely a casual player. I am not at the top ladder like a lot of these other people, so this is from my perspective. So because it is from my perspective, you're probably not going to agree with a lot of things that I say, but whatever you do agree with, whatever you don't agree with, just leave a comment down below. I want to engage with you guys in some discussion. Anyway, let's begin. First up, we have the Archer Queen. From my usage of her, I think that the Archer Queen is an incredibly solid hero. I think she has a lot of utility, and she's pretty strong. Her abilities are swag. I'm going to put her in the A tier. Next up, we have the Barbarian. The Barbarian is so fun to use. I really enjoy using it, especially when it hits stack and it can just do so much damage. I love it. I think it's great. It's not the greatest though, right? It's solid, but I think B tier is a pretty good spot for it. Next up, we have the Countess, already our second hero. I think the Countess, from my perspective, is about on par with the Archer Queen. I think the Archer Queen might be a little bit better, but I still think they are on the same tier of A tier. So I think they're both pretty solid, honestly. Next up, we have the Magic Archer. 4 elixir is a lot for this guy, but it is a worthy investment when using him. I love the Magic Archer. Easy A tier for me. So good, so strong. I just knocked over my Sprite bottle and it looks black because it's green and I have a green screen behind me. I'm rambling now. Next mini. Next up, we have the Skeleton Guard. I think the Skeleton Guard is not that great. In my recent video, I did use a deck with the Skeleton Guard, but it was really just a placeholder for like just having a cheap 2 elixir mini. It was either going to be the Skeleton Guard or the Knight, and I chose the Skeleton Guard. I don't think he's that great. He just kind of sits there and tanks, but there are other minis that can do the same thing and do other things as well. All right, next up we have the Mega Knight. I think the Mega Knight is pretty decent in all honesty. You get it star upgraded, it can be so tanky. It can just sit up there and soak for everything. I still love its synergy with like the Royal Champion as a hero, but I don't think it's as good as another 4 elixir mini, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So I'm going to put it in the B tier. Definitely still pretty solid. Then we have the Valkyrie. Admittedly, I don't use her that much, but for a 3 elixir mini, I think she provides a lot of value. She is strong. She can stack her swings, which is cool, kind of like the Barbarian does. And she does splash damage. She can hit multiple enemies at once, which is always great. I love splash damage. So for the Valkyrie, I'll put her in A tier. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. All right, next up we have the Witch. I don't know about y'all, I absolutely love the Witch, especially her synergy with Wave Master. At least the one of the decks that I love playing is with a Wave Master and a Witch. I think she's really good in that case, and I might be overranking her. This is probably way too high. But for me, through my experience, the Witch is going to be our first S tier mini. Next up, we have the Monk. In terms of heroes, I think the Monk is pretty average. It's kind of like the middle ground for heroes. It's not too strong. Of course, it does have a strong ability. It can kill pretty much any mini with 1 hit, but it can be countered as well. And I think that's a pretty good balance to have. I think the Monk is B tier. Not too great, but not horrible either. Then we have my girl, the Healing Ranger. I absolutely love using her. I'm not sure how y'all feel about her, but I absolutely love her. I think she is deserving of being in the A tier. I think she is so fun to use. Then we have the Spear Goblin. I don't really have any strong feelings about the Spear Goblin. I think he's solid. I'm just gonna put him in the B tier. Like, honestly, he's all right. He's chill. Next up, we have the Dart Goblin. For me, the Dart Goblin is an instant S. I absolutely love it. If you can just protect it and just let it do its thing and stack up its hit speed, it can be so good. And it is, oh my gosh, I just love using the Dart Goblin. I think it's so great, honestly. All right, then next up we have the Electro Wizard. I don't use the Electro Wizard too much, and when I do use him, I think he's honestly a little bit below average, if I'm gonna keep it real. I think he deserves to be in the C tier. Not as bad as the Skeleton Guard, but not as good as the stuff in the B tier. Then next up we have the Fisherman. The Fisherman is another one of those. I feel like it's definitely average. It's not nearly as bad as it was when it was 4 elixir, which is great. It's definitely nice having it be useful a little bit, but it isn't great either. Then we got the Lumberjack. It feels like the Lumberjack gets so many balance changes. It just doesn't feel like Clash Mini can ever balance this mini. And to be honest, that's kind of the case with it right now. I think it's pretty underwhelming. I'll put it in the C tier. Then we got the Bowler. I think the Bowler is a super solid mini. For me, I'd say B tier. It's kind of in line with the other minis. It's not great, but it's solid and it has utility. Then we have the Barbarian King. In my opinion, the Barbarian King is the worst hero in the game. To me, I mean, every hero just is better than it. I mean, I don't really know how else to explain it, but you know, they kind of nerfed Barb King 2 Elixir decks a lot, which is great. I'm so happy that's gone. And since then, like, the Barb King, it just doesn't provide as much value. Like, for real, why would I use a Barb King? I can use literally any other hero. That's the way I look at it. I'm gonna put him in D tier. Then we have the Miner, Nerf Miner, ha ha ha, so funny. Not really funny. I love the Miner. I think he's great. I think it's deserving of being in the A tier. Just having a mini where you can just instantly send to the back of your opponent's side, that's just so much value in itself, and I think it's worthy of the A tier. Then we got the Mini P.E.K.K.A. One of the most frustrating things in Clash Mini is when your opponent has a Mini P.E.K.K.A. with the Dissipate upgrade, just like super early in the game and you can't do anything. But really, apart from that, I don't find it to be too threatening. But because of that, and because it does have Dissipate and can do a lot of damage as well, that carries it into the B tier. Then we have the Musketeer. I have used the Musketeer a lot in the past, but in reality, I don't think it's that good. I mean, why would you use the Musketeer when there are so many other ranged minis for the same price or better? Then we have the P.E.K.K.A. Remember when I was talking about another 4 Elixir mini that is kind of a tank? Yeah, it's the P.E.K.K.A. and we're putting the P.E.K.K.A. in the S tier. I think this is something we can all agree on, at least I hope. I think that the P.E.K.K.A. is great. I absolutely love it. Then we have the Ice Wizard. This is probably my favorite 2 Elixir mini. It can just provide so much value. Just being able to negate the attack speed of your opposing minis, that is so much value. I think it is worthy of being in the A tier. Then we have the Prince. The Prince is good in situations where you're using a lot of Clash cards like Bowler, Prince, and Spear Goblin and Royal Champion all in the same deck. Those can do great. But really, apart from that, the Prince doesn't see that much utility, I'll be honest. And I don't really use it apart from situations like that. But because it is good in situations like that, I think it's deserving of being in the B tier. Then we have the Knight. The Knight and the Skeleton Guard, I think they're both 2 Elixir minis that are in the D tier. They just kind of sit there and tank. Yeah, the Knight can do his like taunt thing, but you know, it's just, apart from that, what does it really do besides just sit there and look like a knight? Then we got the Battle Healer. I absolutely love her. I think she is great. The deck I'm playing right now has Shield Maiden, Battle Healer, and Healing Ranger, and just having all of that healing power is so great. And in that situation, she excels so much. She is so tanky. I love her star upgrade where you can just give block to the nearby minis for 5 seconds. I think that is so good. I'm going to put her in the A tier. Then we have the Golden Giant. I really, really like the Golden Giant. Like, for me, its job is just to sit up there and tank initial hits and then die. And when it does that, it's just great. I mean, it's not supposed to do anything else, at least when I use it. And it's good at what it does. So I'm going to put it into the B tier. Then we have the Royal Champion. She got buffed in the last wave of balance changes. It made her a lot better. If you ask me, she is one of the best heroes in the entire game. I'm going to put her on the same tier with the Archer Queen and the Countess, and that is in A tier. Then we have the Royal Ghost. I'll be honest, ever since the Royal Ghost was made 4 Elixir instead of 3, it's kind of fallen off a little bit. Before, when it was 3 Elixir, it used to be S tier, hands down a top 5 mini in the entire game in my opinion. But now I think it's kind of fallen. I definitely think it's fallen. For 4 Elixir, I just don't think what it provides is worth 4 Elixir. Then we have the Shield Maiden. I know this one's going to be controversial because everyone thinks, it seems like for the most part, people think Shield Maiden is one of the worst heroes in the entire game. I don't really think so. I think the Shield Maiden is great, at least when I use her. I'd put her on the same playing field as the Monk, in all honesty. So we're going to put her in B tier. Then we got Giant Skeleton. Giant Skeleton is kind of like the Golden Giant, where you place it there so that way it can die. But its purpose is to die and deal damage and stun. It is good at that. A tier. Then we have the Skeleton King. This one's tricky because the Skeleton King, its natural ability where it dies and where you just get it a second chance, there's so much value in that. But apart from that, apart from that one thing that it does, I don't like it at all. And because of that one thing that it does, I'm not going to put it in D tier, but I'm going to put it in C tier. Okay. Next up, we have the Swordsman. In terms of like the 2 elixir close range minis, kind of like the Knight, Skeleton Guard, Barbarian, in that kind of range, Swordsman is definitely the best out of all of them. I love the Swordsman. I think it is beautiful in everything that it does. Well deserving of the A tier in my opinion. Then we got the Wizard. Wizard is not as good as his counterpart, the Ice Wizard, but definitely don't discredit it. I think the Wizard is solid. We're gonna put it in B tier. Then we have the Archer. To me, the Archer is like the perfect 2 elixir mini. I think it's great. I love it. Crazy range. You get its bow stability. It can do so much damage, and you can hit multiple targets at once. For me, the Archer is an S tier mini. 100%. And then last but not least, we have the Wave Master. I talked a little bit earlier about the Wave Master Witch synergy, and in that role, I like the Wave Master, but apart from that, I don't really use it a lot. But because of that one role, and because of how strong I think that one role is, I think it is deserving enough to be put into the B tier. So we're gonna put it there. But anyway, that is my Clash Mini tier list. I know it's definitely probably going to be controversial. Again, I'm a casual player, so this is just from my play experience. I don't know the competitive meta or whatever. So definitely let me know what you all think about this in the comment section below. As I said, I love to engage in discussion. Just be respectful, please. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and if you're new here, subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. But anyway, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.